Welcome back to the Whatnauts review show number 291, where every week we have a different story to talk about. It could be a movie, an anime, manga, a comic book, audio drama, all sorts of stuff. We read it, we watch it, we come back here and talk about it. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa,
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. We've been enjoying Apple April here on the review show. Both topics we are talking about this month are TV shows from the Apple TV Plus streaming platform. Has there been anything else that you've explored on that platform while we've had it the last couple weeks?
Not really in the last couple weeks. I very recently, though, did a big, okay, let me just go through everything in Apple that I had on my list and put everything on there. And yeah, I think there's the obvious standouts like Severance and stuff that is just incredible. I really enjoyed Silo. I thought that one was fantastic. You did. And then I liked Foundation a lot too. If you want some good Lee Pace, go watch Foundation. Mm-hmm. That's a great one. Pachinko is incredible on that show. I know I've mentioned that one a number of times. One that some people might not know about. There's one called Defending Jacob. It's like an 8-episode little mini series starring Chris Evans, and he is the DA who catches a murder investigation of a high school kid. And unfortunately for him, it turns out that his son is the main suspect. And so he has to kind of step back from the case and defend his son. But it is kind of, it's a show that it could go both ways of did this kid really do it or did he not? And it never really gives you a clear answer. And so it is about how far will Chris Evans's character and his wife, how far will they go to defend their kid? So it's an interesting one for sure.
Nice.
So,
I just started watching a new show on there, just 4 episodes in, called Sugar. Have you watched Sugar yet?
I have not, but I've heard the name recently.
It's Colin Farrell plays a private investigator who goes to LA to investigate a missing granddaughter of this 20th century movie producer who he holds in very high esteem. Colin Farrell's a huge movie buff.
Sounds like something I would enjoy.
It's half Under the Silver Lake and half Brand New Cherry flavor.
Huh, okay.
But with this added level of strangeness to it where I don't think Colin Farrell is playing a human. I am pretty sure he's an alien or a robot or something.
I've heard someone else mention that they're like, come on, robot. I think he's a robot. Come on, robot.
I put all my money down on robot.
Yeah. That's interesting. I will have to add that to my list then, because I've heard small little rumblings, but not much yet. So that sounds like something I would enjoy.
A very Kyle show.
Interesting. Good stuff. This week, however, we are here to talk about Slow Horses. Which, as we mentioned, you can find on Apple TV Plus. There are currently 3 seasons of the show, and if I'm not mistaken, seasons 4 and 5 have already been greenlit. I know season 3 just came out the end of last year, early this year in 2024. So we're still a ways off from season 4. But I think the show only premiered in April of 2022, so the seasons come pretty quickly, which I think is
6 episode seasons.
Thing. Correct, 6 episode seasons. It is a British show that kind of is their model. Let's do these little short seasons. But yeah, this is based off of a book called Slough House. It's a series of novels by Mick Herron. And yeah, I have seen all 3 seasons of this, but for this podcast, we are only covering season 1. Like we said, 6 episodes. It follows a group of MI5 agents who are kind of the screw ups. They did something on a mission, and either they screwed it up so badly that they, like, MI5 can't really fire them because maybe they know too much or something, or it's just kind of a hassle to actually fire them. They can, like, well, we can put you on, like, clerical stuff, or like, so they, like, stick them over in what they call Slough House, which their boss over there is played by Gary Oldman, who is just this phenomenal old curmudgeon, just
one
like
of the grossest characters put to film. I think you're introduced to him like he's sleeping with his feet up on the desk. His shoes are off. There's holes in his socks. He will, like, fart and wake himself up.
Yeah.
He's
absolutely
so greasy.
Incredible.
He's always burping. He's the meanest man you've ever met.
Absolutely incredible. I love it. But this group of kind of screw ups and misfits and losers, they all continually kind of end up stumbling into cases or onto secrets that end up being pretty major. And yeah, they end up somehow being involved in the case or solving it or helping out in a major way. So yeah, I highly recommend this show. This is one of Apple's best shows out there, especially if you like crime spy stuff. Go check this one out for sure. Melissa, what did you think of this show?
I really enjoyed this. We had, since the seasons are so short, there's only 18 total episodes of the show released to date. We're like, well, it's technically possible for us to fit all that in. Maybe do 3 seasons, maybe we do 2. And for time constraints that popped up for me, we only talked about the first season. I definitely plan to continue this. I really enjoyed it. I love spy stuff. That's my genre. And the show is really smart. As soon as you think about how you want something, the show gives it to you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think despite them being a team of losers, they oddly feel competent in a weird way. Like they're kind of idiots and they're joking around with each other.
Yeah.
Right.
For most of these people, it's not a continual series of events. They're not entirely incompetent. They seem like they're mostly competent people who, like, had one disastrous thing. Like, you left one top secret file on a train and a civilian found it. Like, we can't have you around, but that one thing isn't bad enough to fire you, so we are demoting you to the lowest place possible. You go to Slough House.
Yeah.
It's people like that who had one terribly false move and had to fall down this far.
Yeah, and like there's certainly no like Johnny English like accidentally solving stuff. But when I first heard about this show, I was kind of under the impression that it was more so like, well, what if we take a team and in this like continually growing digital age, what if we actually go back to manual stuff here and see how quickly we can solve some of these cases the old-fashioned way? Which is not really what we get, but the start of this season 1 almost seems to suggest that, as one of the characters is like digging through all this garbage trying to find stuff. But yeah,
literal garbage.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Actual trash.
And yeah, it's not exactly that. They are pretty competent at their job, but they are a team of misfits. They are kind of idiots in their own regard. At
Mhm.
least some of them are. They're thinking about sex too much. They're too busy making their dating profile online with photoshopped pictures and stuff. um yeah, it's stuff like that, but they come together to kind of create this team that ends up working pretty well together.
Mhm.
And it's just entertaining to watch. Something I was thinking about, and what I was kind of trying to get at with all of that is, like, if you watch any other kind of spy show, I feel like the characters will be a lot like the characters that you see here in this show, but Slow Horses paints them as the, like, okay, these guys are the screw ups.
Mhm.
Whereas any other show would be like, this is your team of emotionally relatable and equally competent spies that are
Mhm.
hip and cool, right? Um,
Yes.
and I just think that's interesting, fun,
Mhm.
of like, these people are so strict, as they probably should be. Uh,
Mhm.
but here we are with the team of screw ups.
Right. And like the people in the lowest rung of MI5 are still pretty good at what they do to still be an MI5.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, indeed. So yes, season 1 here follows a case. There is a person that is kidnapped. He is a British male of Pakistani descent,
Mhm.
and the people that kidnap him are a far right extremist group, and yeah, the case is about why this kid. What is happening here? He's just a stand-up comedian. Like,
Mhm.
what's going on here? And yeah, everyone at Slough House stumbles on to kind of a conspiracy uh, of what is happening here. So, indeed, good stuff. Do you have any other kind of stuff that you wanted to point out or mention, or characters you really enjoyed? Uh, Stuff like that.
I There's a nice ensemble. I'm excited to get into all of them. Like I said, as soon as you're thinking the first episode starts you out with a direct focus on River Cartwright and like 2 or 3 characters immediately around him, and then there's just more people in the office. And then as soon as you're thinking, I wish I knew the other people in the office more, then you get to spend time with them. The show, I think, is pretty good at showing a lot of different perspectives and doling out character backstories at a good pace.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think with only 6 episodes, this does not feel too short, but it
Mhm.
doesn't overstay its welcome. Like, you get the case, you get everything you need about the case, you get a satisfying conclusion. Um, so yeah, just good stuff all around. Highly recommend it. Go check it out. Slow Horses. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Well, I say we take a quick break for housekeeping, and when we come back, we can dive into Slow Horses season 1 a little bit more in depth and start breaking it down. So we will be right back. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. We hope you're enjoying it. If you didn't know, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. But none of this is possible without your support. Head over to patreon.com/thewhatnauts, and you can get access to over 40 hours of exclusive content, including our Patreon first podcast, The Pilots Club, when you sign up at our $3 tier. Of course, there is a free version of the Pilots Club available, but episodes are exclusive to our Patreon for 2 years before they hit the free feeds. If you're interested in buying merch, we have shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more for sale over at thewhatnauts.com/store. Another great way to help us out is by subscribing and leaving a nice rating and review on your podcasting app of choice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for video versions of the show, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, you can always find out more information about the shows we make on our website, thewhatnauts.com. All right, we are back. Once again, a big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. We love you a lot. We appreciate you. It means a ton. Let's see here. I just pulled up our website so I can see like what's happening on the Pilots Club and stuff like that. For those of you at the $3 tier, we obviously just covered Shogun, the first episode of Shogun on that, and we talked about the end game on the free version. Speaking of the free version, after the end game, the next one is Yasuke. So if you are in the mood for some more samurai action after Shogun and stuff like that, Yasuke is an anime that I believe is available on Netflix. That is about the first black samurai, loosely based on a historical person of the same name, just as Shogun kind of is too. So yeah. Be an interesting one, a good fun one for you all to check out. But yeah, over on the paid version of the Pilots Club, Melissa, what are we going to be talking about next month?
Next month, we are talking about the pilot episode of Pan Am. I forget what year this is from. The show's maybe like 15 years old. It only lasted one season. It is about the real life 20th century airline juggernaut that was Pan Am, and the pilot follows a number of different flight attendants adjusting to this new workforce where women have this great opportunity to have this high paying career that lets them travel around the world and be independent in a way that they haven't been before.
Yeah. Cool. Good stuff. And I think you said that was available on AMC Plus. So if you have that, or if you want to use a free trial of that, you can check it out over on AMC Plus. But yeah, right here on the review show, Apple April is what we have been up to. We mentioned that at the top of the show. Last week here on the show, we covered Hello Tomorrow, which right now only has one season. I don't think it's been officially canceled, but it hasn't really officially been renewed either. So kind of in limbo. But that one follows a timeshare salesman as he is selling timeshares for the moon, set in this like retro futuristic 50s, 1950s. Just like when you think of the platonic idea of like an advertising cartoon guy, that is the main character. It's not an animated show. It is live action, but
Billy Crudup does look like 1950s
exactly.
advertising illustration brought to life.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you want something that's more along the lines of like Mad Men, but maybe with a wackier side to it, Hello Tomorrow might be worth checking out. So yeah. Let's see, over on the Captain's Log, this past episode, we got to talk about some of the recent movies we've got to see, like Monkey Man, Civil War, The First Omen, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, all kinds of brand new stuff, which now that I think about it, Melissa, did you go to like an early access screening of that? Okay. Yeah, I was like, huh. That's not out yet.
Oh, they had an early one at Alamo Draft House I could go to.
Yeah. We also were drawing Pokemon from memory. So if you want to see our drawing skills or lack thereof, we were drawing Pokemon from memory as best we could. And oh boy, that Magmar. Oh boy.
Magmar difficult.
Yeah.
We remembered only the name Magmar. Had trouble conjuring his image.
Indeed. We had some good times over on that. That's about it for housekeeping for right now. So let's get back over to Slow Horses. Let's get into some spoilers. All right. This was my second time watching this one. So yeah, when I watched the 3 seasons that were out, I really enjoyed the show a lot. I think I enjoyed it more on my second viewing. And I don't think the show is overly complicated, but it is also a spy show. So sometimes there's like actual world politics that you like the show tries to introduce you to, but then also like interdepartment politics of like who's leading MI5 and who's in this role and who's that stuff. And I don't know if my first watch through I entirely got what was happening in all of them, but I have to say on this second go around, crystal clear, I knew exactly what was happening, and felt a lot more comfortable watching it. But yeah, I had just as good a time. My girlfriend came in and ended up watching 2 of the episodes with me, but she caught the ones in the middle. So I was like explaining a few things, like this is who that guy is, and all of that. There's a lot
to explain.
And Melissa, we got one of my favorite scenes in the whole series while she's watching, and it takes place when it like shit has hit the fan. It's 2 a.m. and Gary Oldman meets with, I don't remember her name, the leader, the like second chair of MI5.
Taverner.
Yes. Yeah. And they meet out by the river on this park bench. And like all my partner has seen so far is like serious like spy crime like stuff that's happening. And I'm like, you need to watch this scene. It's so funny. And she's like, I don't think this show is funny. Like, what is happening here? And yeah, he's sitting there. They're in the middle of some spy conversation of like, I think you set this up. What's happening here? And then all of a sudden, he just rips this loud one, farts, and just better out than in, I always say. And then 2 seconds after, just goes, oh, maybe not. Oh, no.
Right. He's so disgusted with himself. Imagine if you had caught the middle of the series where it is more serious spycraft, and then out of nowhere, there's just a wicked part. This is for dads. This is for dads. I will go tell my father, you must see Gary Oldman fart.
Man, that's acting right there. That's
an Oscar-winning fart right there.
It's just
dads stand up and applaud.
Right? Yeah. Cinema. What's that? With all the memes of like, oh, poetic cinema.
That's how dads will react to Jackson Lamb.
Exactly. Put this up there with Reacher and
Yellowstone.
Yeah. No, like it's such an interesting thing because this show is not a comedy. I wouldn't describe this as a comedy in the slightest, but there are between Jackson Lamb's demeanor and the character that is Ho. I just like there's some good comedic moments that I think are part of what makes this show just great. Because I feel like I've seen other crime shows or spy shows that are kind of similar or do stuff that I would just at the end of the day be like, you know what, this is just kind of middling. It was good, but it was kind of middling, right? And the fact that I'm just over here cracking up and this guy just farted in the middle of this and he's disgusted with himself now. Like it's ridiculous to see Ho making all these pictures for a dating profile with his face on this like extra buff body. Just
Doesn't
ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Yeah. To see how they like I forget the name. I'm terrible with names. You guys know this. Let me see if I can look them up here. It's not Standish. It's the two that were like making out.
Louisa and Min.
Yeah. They when like at the, like towards the end of the season when they like get lost in the middle of the nowhere where they run out of gas and she figures out that he didn't gas the car up when they stopped at a gas station because he's thinking about sex with her, like, and it's just like, oh my, you're a fucking spy. God, like, what is happening?
There's no warning. The car just putters to a stop in the middle of the road, and he's like, there's no gas in it. I didn't put any in.
He didn't even mention like, oh, we're starting to get low. Like, should we turn around?
No,
like, just
literally drives
the car
until
stops.
there's fumes. Just stops.
So dumb. But like I that's the like, it helps me to latch on to some of these characters and just be like, this is phenomenal. This is great.
Right. There's excellent moments of buffoonery in this show. Which is a combination I love. High class spy drama plus buffoonery. Yeah, like how the last Mission Impossible movie was mostly card tricks and sleight of hand antics. It's primarily a clown movie.
Yeah, like, but then, like, that's also not to say, which is what we were starting to get at in our, like, spoiler-free stuff. They do have really competent moments, too.
Yes.
It feels like a show that you can, like, it felt like the writers on this show at some point during making this said to themselves, I love it when a plan comes together. Like, and like, just, yes, here it is. Yeah. So like, I mean, I guess to kind of spoil what happened in this show, it is Taverner. That's her name, right? Taverner.
Mm-hmm.
She sets up this false flag operation to basically kidnap this kid and then save him to get in good with Pakistan in hopes to like score herself some brownie points to maybe get a promotion. And
I'm gonna show that I
figure it out and stumble on them. They're like, oh shit, you're not doing some good things here. You screwed this up worse than us.
She like plans a kidnapping so that she can be seen as a hero to rescue this kidnapped young man.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But only one of the 4 men who kidnapped him was an inside agent. And after one of the true nationalists murders him, chops his head right off, don't keep an axe in the house. That's probably a bad idea. Then they go renegade and they further kidnap this young man. They throw him into a van. They drive him across the countryside. Yeah. And I really liked that turn of events. So much of the show hinges on college student and stand-up comedy enthusiast Hassan Ahmed. And I felt kind of bad for him. Like he's the MacGuffin. He's like the goal of the whole series is save this boy. But he mostly like has his mouth taped up. He's just sort of wriggling around. He doesn't get to show a lot of emotions besides despair. I'm like, oh, I feel kind of bad for this actor. Like he's this important character, but because he's kidnapped, he doesn't get to do very much.
Right.
And then you go to that amazing scene at the petrol station. I will use the local terminology, petrol station.
Indeed.
Like as soon as you think, oh, I wish I could see some of this, the show shows you that thing that you want. It doesn't spoon feed you information. It's not too easy. But if you realize, oh, I feel kind of shortchanged on this one character, they will give you a really good moment with that character as soon as you realize it's been missing.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. But it like as the team of slow horses kind of figures this out, Jackson Lamb kind of seemingly goes off on his own, but very quickly sets everything up to like he can get in and into Taverner's office and set it up so he fakes a bomb in the car that's now down in the garage that he drove here in, but that's all to just get one more person inside the building to then go do that, find the actual file, and it works. It works perfectly, and it's just like, man, that's awesome. And at the same time, without him, while like meanwhile Standish is out here like calling the registration company for the cars to get these numbers and do all this stuff. They're hacking into to find the GPS of the nationalists that kidnapped this guy. And they find them, like they do everything, and it's interesting that like as much as this is a show with like dad standing ovation farts and stuff like that, you also have some competent spy moments where everything just works and comes together, and it's just like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like this. This is fun.
One of my favorite details is that, let me talk about River here for a moment, because
he's also kind of one of the main characters. He's like the alternate main character here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's Jackson or it's River. The show's got a great cold open where you think he is trailing a possible terrorist through an airport. And he's getting information fed to him on the comms from like the control center back at MI5. And one of his colleagues is like, okay, you're looking for a man in a white shirt over a blue tee. And he's like, right. Okay, got it. And then he grabs that guy, and it's the wrong guy. And then the control desk is like, no, I said he's wearing a blue shirt over a white tee. And he's like, that's not what you said. No, that's what I said. You got the wrong guy. You better run and go get the right guy now. And then it ends with this giant, he doesn't catch the bomber in time. The airport explodes. And then later in that episode, you find out that was a training exercise that was all fake. So nobody, there's really is not 100 people dead at like Heathrow Airport or whatever. But still, the problem is the guy who was supposed to feed him information got the information backward and will not own up to it. He's like, I did exactly what you told me to do. You told me the wrong thing. This whole fiasco is on your shoulders, and he won't accept it. So that's what gets River Cartwright sent to Slough House.
Which is, the whole situation is interesting to me that they don't have like a recording of that.
Yeah.
They weren't recording the op where he said like, go after the blue shirt, white jacket, or the white shirt, blue jacket. I feel like they would have a recording of that somewhere.
Right. But then later you find out that one of River's earlier training missions had been to tail this government official for the day. But the day before he was supposed to tail that guy, he like had a heart attack and went into the hospital. So his training mission was canceled. And he's like, well, I still had that day and I still wanted that experience. So I tailed Taverner all day. I just took it upon myself to do that. And while I was tailing her, I took a photo of her at some club talking to this guy. And that is what she found out he had that. She knew maybe he didn't even know what he had, but she knew what it would mean if that ever got out. So she told Spider Web, say the wrong thing, get him in trouble. So that explains why maybe if there was an in-room recording, why it was buried. Because that wasn't just a pretentious guy screwing up and failing to own up to it. That was all a conspiracy.
It was, yeah. I mean, they have like they have great details in there like that. That if you like, even if they don't say it explicitly, you can kind of read between the lines and be like, oh, okay, here's what happened here. Stuff like that. One of the characters that I find most interesting is Standish, the kind of older woman who I don't feel like she's the like receptionist or anything.
No, but she's kind of an administrator for Slough House.
Yeah.
She sort of delegates assignments, passes around the boxes of paperwork you have to dig through.
Yeah, she is in more of a role like that, but I always got the vibe from her that she was never really a field agent.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she was, but like instead of screwing up a mission, just kind of has real bad PTSD. Like had an emotional break when her husband / other MI5 agent
was that her husband?
Killed.
I
always read that as her husband.
I thought that was like she was his personal assistant. She was like the right-hand woman to some high-ranking government official. And after he seemingly took his own life, they blamed her for like not seeing the signs or raising the alarm or doing something to prevent that. Or maybe they suspected her of having some hand in it. And that's what got her kicked down to Slough House.
Interesting. Because I always, and both times watching that, read that as a romantic relationship.
You've seen more of the show than I have, so you probably have more context. But I for some reason I thought she was just a personal assistant.
I mean, look,
I really wasn't clear.
That might be the case because it's not explicit about the romance. They do have different last names, so I don't know if it's that they weren't married or maybe they did marry and because they're spies they just kept their like.
The man's last name is Partner, which is an unusual last name, and I wonder if that got into your head thinking, oh, they're partners, right?
Yeah. Who knows?
Because if she failed, if she wasn't working for him, if they were just married, why would MI5 kick her down? Like MI5, they don't have jurisdiction over your marriage.
Well, sure. Yeah, no, it's not about jurisdiction. It's about because it was her husband and he committed suicide without her seeing the signs. And I say committed suicide in air quotes Big here quotes. For our audio listeners. I wonder if she just kind of had a meltdown of just like, I can't handle this. Like this is not for me. This is not the work that I want to do.
You're gonna have to Google this. I refuse to Google it because I don't want spoilers for seasons 2 and 3. Yeah. But you will have to find out exactly what the relationship was between those two characters. I do want to say that it is clear that Jackson Lamb was involved somehow. And she gets wind of that. I think that's a bargaining chip Taverner has. Like, if you come with me, if you side with me, I will tell you what Jackson Lamb actually had to do with Mr. Partner's death. And at the end of the season, Jackson Lamb does tell her a story. And then where he's like, I gave him the gun. And I thought he wanted the gun because he was paranoid because he said somebody was after him. And I trusted my friend. I believed that was true. I thought he needed it for self-defense. I had no idea that's what he was going to use it for. That's part of why I'm in Slough House, that I played a role in this person's death when I didn't mean to. But then immediately afterwards, you get the flashback seeing that he did kill that man. And I wish there was more space between those two, because I like this, that the story he tells her, you can believe. And I kind of wanted to live in that gray area for a bit longer of
Mm.
trying to decide whether or not you do believe the story instead of it being immediately revealed to be a lie.
Yeah. I mean, the first season here does go back to that scene multiple times of Standish walking in the house and being like, "Hey, I've got your dry cleaning," or whatever it is, to like just bit like something feels off in the house and she hasn't found it yet, to her discovering the body. You get bits of that throughout the show. So I agree with you. I wish we had a little bit more space to kind of sit with this, like, is that what really happened? But also the show has set up this beat of we're going to keep returning to this here. And even though he said, this one thing, hoping to absolve himself of this guilt, we still have that beat coming up, right?
Yeah.
And I think in that whole situation, I like one of the other things we learn out of him telling her that he gave him the gun, even though that's not true. We then learn that it's because of what happened, because of the guilt that he feels, that he wasn't assigned to Slough House. He asked to be there.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Which I think he's the only one who was like, put me there. Everyone else is just assigned there because because they screwed up. He didn't screw up. I mean, maybe arguably he did in a certain way, but like
he did, but not in a way that they would have demoted him for it. Like his story is that he's like, I can't stand to be in the field anymore. And I can't stand to be a civilian. I know too much. I can't leave this business altogether. Give me the lowest rung you have. Give me the least important stuff to watch over. And I will just kill the rest of my time here on Earth doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that adds an interesting layer to Jackson Lamb's character, because seeing him fart himself awake and just lay it on real thick to all of his employees of just like, you guys are terrible, you guys are awful, get back to work, it's Saturday. Well, then
very
get the fuck out of here.
Insults.
Like, what are you doing? Yeah. I like, there is this, he seems to not care, but then I think, knowing that, I think he kind of secretly does.
Yeah, I think they make that a point early on enough where he's been established as such a horrendous character. But then you have, I think it's in the scene with him and Taverner on the bench where he says, they're screw-ups, but they are my screw-ups. Yeah. Exactly. Like, you learn exactly what this guy's line is, what his standards are, like the code by which he lives his life. If you put somebody under his care, he won't take care of that person in a soft emotional sense, but he will protect them with his life. He takes his responsibilities seriously. He will yell at you all day, but he will make sure nobody else yells at you all day. That is his job. Yeah, I do like that. I like that they give us this one positive side of him early on enough that you aren't living under too much annoyance with this character for too long. I like that the code is very specific. And it is sweet to see the team come together. Another moment I like is, I think, when Taverner comes up to them after, like, Jackson or River, like, somebody did something really stupid, one of the guys on the team. And Taverner goes up to Standish and says something about male stupidity. And Standish is like, I appreciate your offer of sisterhood, but I decline to take it. I don't, like, I am not siding with you because we are both women in this field. Like, these guys, I see myself with them. That is my team. don't try and play this game with me where you try and pull me over to your team. I want to be with these idiot men more than I want to be with you.
Yeah. And like that is the thing is, as much as he berates his other operatives, he also has a sense of trust in them too that I think is displayed in the scene when when Jackson Lamb goes over to Standish's house and they both get not kidnapped but like picked up by the dogs of MI5, and he keeps sneezing and like it's just this loud obnoxious sneeze, and you're just like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening here? And then he all of a sudden, like, he eventually asks Standish for a tissue, thinking that like, oh, in that purse that you have here, you might have a tissue, but he had secretly like stashed a gun in her purse, and so when she reaches in to get it, she's just like, oh, okay, I know what this situation is here, and then does the actual play, and like there's a certain amount of trust that he has to have in his other operatives to be able to pull off some kind of buffoonery that is the sneezing tactic of like, I'll just act like I'm allergic to something and ask for some tissues. That good old move, right?
My favorite scene in the whole show is when like they've commandeered a car that one of the dogs was driving. Which when I had the captions on, and whenever they mentioned the dogs, the D was capitalized, whereas other terminology like calling your agents Joes was not capitalized. So dogs must be something slightly more official. I do wish I had a little bit of clarification on like what all the different types of agents were and like what are their official names and like what's the jargon and the vernacular.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was British, I would know these things. Maybe I just need to watch more British spy stuff and I'll eventually pick it up. But like they've gotten control of one of the cars, one of the like official MI5 black SUVs. And Jackson drives it back and just parks it in the middle of the gate, and he won't move and he won't get out of the car. And he won't pay attention to you when you try and talk to him. He's just blaring "I Would Walk 500 Miles" at top volume and like singing along to himself. And somebody bangs on the door and they're like, "What's all this bullshit?" And he's like, "It's the Proclaimers." Top-notch stuff. He behaves the way I behave when I'm trapped in the Culver's drive-through line for too long and I start kind of losing it. Like, all I wanted was some cheese curds.
Man, what can we get you? Everything! Yeah, he's a stick in the mud just for everyone in every situation. And he doesn't have to be, but that's what he chooses to be. And as a viewer, it's just delightful because it's just so dumb. It's just like this guy's just screwing with everyone and doesn't care. It's good. It's fun.
I want to mention a minor character, but a character I enjoyed right off the bat, which is Struan, the annoying guy in the office who just wants everybody to go with him to pub quiz. As a pub quiz host myself, I like to see that enthusiasm for the game. You eventually find out he was demoted to Slough House because he sent around like a very off-color, inappropriate joke about somebody. But you can tell that he did it because he just like wants friends. He wants people to laugh with him. He wants the attention. Like, he doesn't mean anything by it. He just wants to be good time, chuckle bucket, everybody's pal Struan. And he just comes off as extremely annoying. But extremely annoying in a good-natured way that other annoying characters like Jackson or like Roddy Ho are not. You kind of feel for the guy. And then nobody will agree to go get a pint with him after work.
Yeah. like they have good characters, and I know the show, as the show continues, you get new people coming into Slough House as old ones leave or they die or who knows what. Because I mean, it is a spy game. That's what happens, right? People get shot. And they continue to make mistakes. They continue to solve cases and stuff like that. And they just have these incredible adventures. Do you have anything that you feel like the show was lacking in, or did not give you enough of? Because like we said, it never really overstayed its welcome. It wasn't too short, and you thought it did a good job of, like, as soon as you thought of, like, oh, I wish there was more of this guy, it gave you a little bit more of that guy. Was there anything that you felt like it was lacking in, or maybe should have paid more attention to?
I don't think it's a fault of the show, merely my lack of context as an audience member, that I wish I understood some of the MI5 hierarchy a little bit more. Sure. I think they did a good job of setting up Taverner as the second desk head of MI5 of this section. And so you're really scared when whoever the first desk lady is who comes in, she's
shows
extra
up,
terrifying. She shows up briefly towards the end, so I am interested to see more with her as the show goes on. But like I said, I'm like, what exactly does a dog mean? Like, I can kind of get it from context, but I wish I understood this better.
It's
which,
the
again,
attack dogs. It's the meatheads with guns, right? You know,
I just haven't, like, watched or read enough of the right stuff to get it myself. Like I said, I did spend a while wishing we knew Hassan better. And then we do get that great scene where they've taken him in the van. They're going to, like, drive him out to the middle of nowhere and kill him. Or, like, that's what the main guy wants to do. And the other two guys are like, we just want out of here. Can we just let him go? We don't want to kill him anymore. This has gone too far. We want out of this situation entirely. And they're all covered in blood because they beheaded that guy. So when they have to stop off for petrol, they're like, Hassan is the only one that's clean. Like, he has to be the one to get out of the car and put the petrol in the car. And when you can see that he has the opportunity where he could run away, but they threaten to kill this other family that's there at the petrol station if he does, like, what's going through his mind, the choices he has to make, how smoothly he has to try and pay it off. And then I think it's shortly afterwards where they're like, okay, stand-up comedian. Like, he would write jokes and give them to his friend. Yeah. I thought that was a really well-executed scene where he tells them jokes and they're not working. And he's like, well, I guess this is what you wanted to see, a Muslim bombing. I feel like the entire show was written to get to, like, that
one joke. Yeah.
I as soon as I was feeling bad that this character's like a plot device and not as much of a character, you get to a couple really good scenes with him that I really appreciated. He's safe at the end. MI5 makes a donation to his college comedy club. So I'm hoping we, like, see him as a background presence. Like, the characters will just be in public and there will just be in the background, unheralded, a poster for the Hassan Ahmed Comedy Hour. Get your tickets now.
Yeah. I don't remember what the kid's name is, but the one who does end up chopping the other guy's head off. I don't know who that actor's name is. I ended
real
up,
intense looking.
I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
Because I do not like the character. I think he's a little shit. But did a great job in the sense that when you first meet him, he's kind of timid as like the other people in there, like maybe they're veterans or they've seen some actual combat or been in gunfights somehow, some way. And he's just like, well, I play Call of Duty, right? Like I know what it's like. And they're all just like, fuck off. No, you don't. And then he is the one that ends up chopping off the other guy's head. And as he's driving, like you can just see him get more and more not insane, that's not the right word, but he's cracking like more and more of just like, I am fed up with this. I'm laughing. Now I'm laughing maniacally. Now like I'm killing you for laughing, and just like this guy is on some scary stuff now.
I also like the twist.
He did phenomenally.
I like the twist where you know that one of the 4 guys in that group is an insider agent for Taverner, and you see this kid like go upstairs and take a covert phone call, so you think it's him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you learn it was another guy, and that this kid was actually on the phone he's also an inside agent, but for this extreme right-wing figure, and he's taking orders from him. There's a lot of crosses and double crosses, and yes, this person was doing something shady, but not for the
he just
think they're on the wrong side and
above the guy. He's not like another inside agent. It's just like instead of speaking to the team later who spoke to the boss that set everything up, he just went straight to the boss here, and he's like, wait, there isn't a guy on our team named this guy? That's not good.
Yeah
because everything was set up, as we mentioned, by Taverner. So yeah,
the one thing I would like to see more of, which is less a fault of the show and more of just a thing I hunger for in general, is I'm always fascinated what it's like to be the person who works in the control room. Like the guy at the desk looking at 3 monitors, shouting something into a headset. Like, they're going left on State Street. Turn there. Follow them.
Yeah.
What's it like to be there in the control room? That's a type of character, a type of setting we always spend time in, but in passing. And every person sitting there at that bank of monitors is so anonymous. And it would be nice if in the future we got a character
what do they think
in
of
that group.
What's happening here?
Right. Are they where they want to be? You know, what do they think about Spider Web? Yeah. I did like James Spider Web. I like that he's the clear Draco Malfoy of the team. I love just like the pretentious prick with the suit that's way too fancy with the slick back blonde hair.
Yeah, indeed. I think for me, there's not much that I felt like I wish there was more of this. I do think you brought up a great point about the like. I wish we got to sit with is what Jackson Lamb said about what happened with Standish and partner, is that what really happened? I think that's a good point. There was one scene that is very inconsequential that always struck me as odd because I felt like it maybe should have been more consequential. It's when the 4 members of the team are sitting in the diner and they're just talking and they're talking about like hacking and doing this thing and the beheading and this and that. And the waiter is kind of obviously listening in and being like, what are these guys? They're talking about some crazy stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that like the police aren't called in that scenario of like, look, I don't know who they are, what side they're on, but they are talking about this situation on the television in ways that make me think they are involved somehow, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. This is a show that is about surveillance. You know, in that first episode, we see Sid spying on that journalist there in the restaurant. We have River telling the story about how he tailed Taverner all day. It would be nice if after one of these clandestine meetings in like a diner or a pub or a coffee shop somewhere, you find out later somebody was there listening in. You weren't as secluded as you thought you were.
Yeah, because I mean, they are like openly and loudly talking about all of the stuff. They're kind of like one of the only groups of people in there since it's like 2 a.m. that they're at this 24/7 diner. So yeah, it struck me as odd that like the camera kind of lingers on the waitress as she's like cleaning up one of the other tables, but is obviously like listening in like, and what did they say? The beheading? Huh, okay. which I mean, it is a big news topic. Like, it has been announced to the public that this beheading would take place, on YouTube at a certain time. They would live stream the whole thing. So like it's public knowledge, but again, to like have them then also hear them talking about like hacking into things and doing, it's just like, this is a weird situation here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was it. That was my one thing that always just stood out of like, interesting. And then they don't follow up on that. Okay, that's fine. I guess it's not, I mean, at the end of the day, like it's really an inconsequential scene. That's not what it's about. So I'm okay that it didn't follow up with it, but I don't know.
I get it.
Indeed. But yeah, I enjoyed this show immensely. I think it is fantastic. I highly recommend it. Tell your dad about the incredible farts that's happening in this show. Good stuff. Melissa, let's check in on Bingo, our review show Bingo. I just got our cards pulled up on screen here. Man, we did not get a cow. I don't think I would count the apartment that they're in as a villain lair. I'm thinking more so of the like extravagant James Bond villain lair. Something like that.
Oh, at some point we probably had a foe waiting in the shadows to talk.
Isn't that what happens with, isn't Jackson Lamb in Taverner's office when she steps in, they like at the end there when everything is coming together? Is he already there waiting?
It has to be I'm sitting in the dark, and as soon as you step in, I click the lamp on, and I've been here the whole time. I don't know if we had that exactly.
I don't know. Because I don't think he walks in after she's already there. I think he's chilling there and she doesn't notice at first. I'd be willing to give it to you if you want to take it.
That gives me a bingo.
Okay.
First bingo of the year.
Wonder if I have that one. Do I have that one on mine? I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, I do. Waiting in the shadows to talk. Fill color. There we go.
One of my squares is minion turns on their boss. And I meant it in a way like Iago is done with Jafar. He's on Aladdin's side now. I will in the final battle, I will join you against this villain. And this is more subtle and shifty and espionage-y, It's not precisely what I had in mind.
Yeah, this feels more just like inner politics rather than like someone turning on. Because at the end of the day, like Jackson isn't really turning on his boss or MI5. He's still doing the right thing. It's just
and I think I wanted this because this is a minion who turns on their boss for the right reasons. Like, I have realized this good guy is correct. I am on his side. You are bad, and not like Struan panicking and like signing an affidavit saying, Jackson Lamb was behind everything. I'm scared and I want my job back. Although Struan does have big character pesters others to read their book type of energy, but not exactly that.
Yeah. Come to trivia night at the pub with me. Read my book. I don't know if I really have anything else.
Yeah. We didn't have a lot of espionage things on our bingo sheet this year.
We almost got contaminated evidence disturbing the crime scene, but the one that I feel like would would be at, which would be at the apartment that they were holding the kidnapping kid. They just kind of go in, check it, and leave. Right?
Wait, we have a butler. Remember when the journalist goes to like visit that one politician guy? There's a butler who lets him in, right?
Yeah, or like like a modern day butler, not like a
right. They don't all wear little
Jeeves
tuxedos.
looking. Yeah.
Perhaps more of a bodyguard.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Because he answers the door, that's a clear butler duty.
He's rich enough to have a big enough house where he's like not in certain rooms. He's like, I can't find anything. I'm not in this room enough.
Right. And his wife is having a party upstairs, and his house is so big you have no sense that there is a party. He just says there's one, and you have to believe him.
They're leaving, not before cheese. Yeah, no. I think that's kind of it. Oh, we do have hack into the system.
That's all Roddy does.
We do have that one. So I did
hack
get that.
Into apps.
They do hack into a few things. No cows, which I'm kind of surprised by them out there in the countryside. Yeah, could have used cow. Could have used poison. I think that's kind of it. Could have used. Oh, we did almost have. How do you feel about the nosy neighbor? The one that saw all of the slow horses leaving the apartment, and then was the one that apparently reported to police or whoever showed up there that they saw.
I feel like there's a difference between a nosy neighbor and just an alert citizen during a time when there has been a major national kidnapping.
True. Okay. I think that's it then.
We're done. Put bingo down.
I will say, if we had done later seasons of this show, character who's overprotective of their car would have gotten marked off. Yeah.
Dang.
And that one would have belonged to Mr. Roddy Ho.
Oh, of course. He seems like a car guy.
Yeah, indeed. Cool. Well, I think that is our update then for bingo for this week. Melissa has our first bingo of the year. Congratulations. Yeah. Cool. Let's get on to recommendations. Melissa, for people who enjoyed Slow Horses, what else might they want to check out?
There's major spy franchises you can look into. I love a James Bond. I love a Mission Impossible. I saw the first Bourne movie once. Gotta circle back around to Bourne. That's not one I know as well yet.
Do those on the podcast. They're fun.
We should. Maybe that'll open 2025, all the Bournes.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a good winter break franchise. The obvious one to recommend is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. This is a movie from, I think, like 2011, another British spy drama. Very complex story. I watched it once. I liked it, but I could not tell you what actually happened. I need a second rewatch on that one. That also stars Gary Oldman. And he's playing a character from a Jean le Carré novel, or a series of novels, I think called George Smiley, who they make reference to in the story. In the show, I think when River's talking to his grandpa's like, a spy who's left out in the cold is never left out in the cold for long. Even George Smiley got to come in and get warm, or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is a spy fiction that is aware of other spy fiction, including story that inspired Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Massive cast in that one, full of great character actors. Really enjoyed it. One of the actors in that is Benedict Cumberbatch, coincidentally. My next recommendation is Sherlock, the BBC Sherlock series. That gets some episodes. This, if you're not familiar with it, it had 4 seasons that were 3 episodes each, but the episodes were 90 minutes. So it's
Mhm.
like a series of like 12 mini movies plus a Christmas special, of course.
Right.
And some of those got more into the MI5 espionage secret agent area more than the detective area. So you can find similar stories there. Extremely twisty, twists upon twists if you watch Sherlock. And something that is unique about Slow Horses is that it is about the mundanity of being a spy. Sometimes there are heart-stopping,
Right.
the citywide adventures, but sometimes you are just like sitting in an office going through paperwork. You have to have a boring meeting, and sometimes that is how spy work gets done. And to look at more of that, you can watch the Steven Spielberg movie Bridge of Spies. This is
Mm.
set during the Cold War, where I think a secret American test flight goes down in like west, like the wrong side of the Berlin Wall. And there's a spy. There's like an American soldier who was flying the plane, had no idea what he was doing, had no idea the true meaning of the mission, who's now there with after the plane crash. And there has been like a Soviet spy who was like found in America. And Tom Hanks, who's like an insurance lawyer and known to be a pretty good negotiator, but not really in this realm, is called upon to go to Europe and negotiate the exchange of these 2 prisoners.
Okay.
And he
Interesting.
like somebody steals his coat. It's cold. He gets a cold. He's sniffly the whole time. It's just about how mundane and frustrating, but and unglamorous, but so very important it is to go through this stuff and see that the right thing is done. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
Bridge of Spies.
Okay.
Those are
Good
my
stuff.
recommendations.
Good stuff indeed. I'm looking through my notes for a show that I watched on Netflix. That's a good like Cold War era spy show, but I don't remember what the name of it was. And I can't seem to find it. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, if you enjoy spy stuff, there is a series of comics called Queen and Country, written by Greg Rucka, that I would recommend. He's a favorite writer of mine. He's also the one that wrote the comics and the screenplay for the movie adaptation of The Old Guard on Netflix.
Right.
If you guys have seen that one. Yeah, he does some incredible work, so I would check out his Queen and Country books there. It's not so much spy stuff, but if you want to see some good like heist stuff, I would throw in The Great Pretender, which is also available on Netflix. It's an anime that they just go to they pull off these incredible heists. It's more like Ocean's 11 like than anything else, but I with all the like scenarios they get into and the wacky teams that they have there, I would say that's a good one. I know here on the show we've covered, I mean, there's a bunch of crime shows and stuff that we've covered here on the show. I think one that has quietly flown under the radar that I would like to shout out is Happy Valley.
Thank you for reminding me. I wanted to recommend Happy Valley. That show is so graphic and intense, but it's really smart. It's a really well thought out crime drama and like interpersonal family drama. Happy Valley.
Yeah, and there's plenty more British crime dramas along those lines that are out there. Even ones like Broadchurch and stuff like that. But that's again less on the like spy side and more just on the like small town detective that does all of that stuff. I'm trying to think other good spy stuff. Do I have anything that I'm missing that I'm looking at my comics here? I don't know, if you want a good like government conspiracy stuff in maybe a more fantastical setting, Full Metal Alchemist. Good
Oh,
anime about some stuff happening with the government there. But yeah, those would be my recommendations. Like, yes, there's lots of good spy stuff out there. You guys can go check out. The
no shortage of it.
Americans, yeah.
The Night Manager.
Killing Eve. That's
Yeah.
a good one you can do.
We're going to watch The Americans. We haven't officially put it on the calendar, but it will be written in ink as soon as we write it down. We are doing all of The Americans.
Cool. Well, I think that is about it for recommendations right now. So for next episode, when is this new one coming out is what I want to ask.
May 10th.
First. May 10th. Okay, so on May 10th, the newest Planet of the Apes movie is coming out. So we wanted to prepare ourselves by watching the trilogy of the more recent Planet of the Apes movies. I also have a list of these kind of pulled up here so I can see what ones there are, because I know there's a bunch of old ones, and then I know there was that one remake that happened like the early 2000s.
Yes, we are watching the Andy Serkis ones.
Correct. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes, and then the new one that is about to come out, which we are preparing for, is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay, so we are watching those 3 recent movies to prepare for the 4th. And these, I think, are all on Disney Plus. These are 20th Century Fox films that are now under that banner, so that's where you can find them.
Yeah, indeed. I'm excited. When the one from 2011 came out, I think I had a bad taste in my mouth from the one from 2001. I remember not liking that one. I don't know why, though.
I remember trying to like it because I'm like, oh, it's Tim Burton. That's a director whose movies I've enjoyed as an 11-year-old. And I think I fell asleep. But now I see Paul Giamatti was one of the apes, and I want to watch that.
God,
don't you want to see
Roth
a Paul Giamatti ape?
I guess. Mark Wahlberg. Interesting. Yeah, like I remember watching that one, but I was also 11 years old, so my taste in movies maybe wasn't the greatest. Who knows? But yeah, I for some reason remember not liking that one, and as a result, never ended up going to see these new Planet of the Apes movies. And then I think after the second and third one came out, I just kind of kept hearing like, this is quietly one of the best trilogies of the past decade. I am excited
the middle one also has Gary Oldman in it.
It sure does.
And Toby Kebbell. Cool.
It does. Yeah, so I'm excited to check these out. I have heard nothing but great things. So we shall see. We'll see what these are all about, and then we can go see the new one in theaters. Woo!
Yeah,
it'll be exciting.
It is the trailer for the new movie that brought us here. I was impressed by that first trailer that came out for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I have to go back and catch up to these.
Have you seen the original Planet of the Apes?
No.
Oh, interesting.
I have only seen the Tim Burton one. But I mean, I've seen it parodied a dozen times. I've seen the Planet of the Apes musical that Troy McClure is in that one episode of The Simpsons. He eats every ape he sees from chimpanzee to chimpanzee. I know that.
Interesting. I have seen the original. I think I've seen a few of the other like older ones too, but I remember that the original one the best because of like how culturally significant it has become. But yeah, I'm excited for these new ones. That's what we will be up to next episode here in 2 weeks on the review show. Yeah, good stuff indeed. That wraps us up for this week. So Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
I still have existing accounts places at Wilkywit, WILKYWIT. I haven't really posted in a long time, but you can find me there. Send me a message. I recently went through my Twitter, like what was even on there, and it is a lot of me being stuck in the drive-thru at Culver's. That was one of my primary tenets. The main themes of my comedy was Culver's despair.
Maybe you can keep it up somehow of just updates from Culver's.
Go back to Culver's, yeah.
Who knows? If you guys want to follow me, I am at Yo Kyle Springer on most social media places. And if you want to stay up to date with us here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts official on Threads. Please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton. If you're watching this on YouTube, we got plenty more videos over there on that side of the screen. Go check those out as well. That would help us out a ton. But yeah, this has been number 291 of the Whatnauts review show. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.